Under the Mediterranean sun, Monaco looks like a city built to impress. Super yachts line the harbor, luxury cars glide through narrow streets, and success feels permanently on display. But here's the quiet truth most people miss. The things that truly define status in Monaco are rarely the ones you can see. It's not the biggest yacht, the highest penthouse, or the loudest entrance. Those are just the surface. In Monaco, wealth is only the entry ticket. Position is what's carefully protected. There are individuals who appear rarely, speak softly, and never explain themselves. Yet when they arrive, the atmosphere shifts instantly. No introductions are needed. No confirmation is required. Everyone who matters already understands. To outsiders, Monaco looks like a playground for showing off success. To insiders, it's something very different. A place where power is maintained through restraint, timing, and silence. Every small choice, where someone stands, when they appear, and even what they deliberately avoid doing, plays a role in an invisible system that keeps the hierarchy intact. If you're curious about how the Monaco luxury lifestyle truly works behind the glamour, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Inside the Billionaires. Because, in a moment, we're going to explore a question almost no one asks out loud. What actually allows certain people to hold their position in Monaco for decades without ever needing to be noticed? At first glance, Monaco looks like a place obsessed with luxury. Everything appears polished, expensive, and carefully displayed. But if you watch closely, you'll notice something unusual. The most powerful people here are not chasing what's new. They are protecting what doesn't change. For Monaco's elite, luxury isn't about excitement or novelty, it's about stability. In a world where markets shift overnight and reputations can rise or fall in a single headline, Monaco offers something far more valuable than spectacle: predictability. The streets look the same year after year. The rules rarely change. The social rhythm remains steady. And for those who operate at the highest level, that consistency becomes a strategic advantage. This is why many billionaires don't come to Monaco to reinvent themselves. They come to freeze a moment in time. Familiar restaurants, trusted service providers, and long-standing routines create an environment where nothing feels uncertain. Stability reduces risk, and reducing risk is one of the core instincts of lasting wealth. When everything around you behaves as expected, you gain freedom to think long-term rather than react emotionally. What surprises most outsiders is that this stability is not accidental. It's carefully maintained. From regulations to infrastructure to social norms, Monaco is designed to avoid sudden disruption. Even change, when it happens, is slow and controlled. This creates a sense of permanence that money alone cannot buy. Once someone secures a place within this stable ecosystem, their position feels anchored rather than temporary. Over time, this stability begins to communicate something powerful without words. It signals that nothing needs to be proven, that no announcement is necessary. While others chase visibility, Monaco's elite quietly benefit from being part of a system that protects continuity. Attention fades, but stability compounds. And this leads to a question that naturally follows. If stability is the true currency of Monaco, how do certain individuals ensure they remain woven into that system, while others, equally wealthy, never quite secure the same footing? Newcomers often assume that staying relevant in Monaco means constantly upgrading, new places, new faces, new experiences. But among the established elite, the opposite is true. In Monaco, familiarity is not a weakness, it's a signal. The more predictable your presence becomes, the more deeply you're perceived as belonging. Many of the most influential figures in Monaco return to the same restaurants, walk the same routes, and dock in the same areas year after year. To an outsider, it might look repetitive. To insiders, it communicates something far more meaningful: permanence. When someone becomes a familiar part of the environment, they stop being evaluated and start being accepted. Curiosity fades, questions disappear, and with that, scrutiny quietly dissolves. This is why chasing novelty is often avoided at the highest level. Newness attracts attention, and attention invites interpretation. The elite prefer environments where reactions are already known and expectations are settled. Familiar settings reduce friction. They create invisible comfort zones where interactions feel natural, unforced, and safe from surprise. Over time, these repeated choices turn into unspoken claims of territory, not through ownership, but through consistency. What's particularly interesting is that this familiarity extends beyond places to people. Long-term staff, recurring service providers, and established social circles form a closed loop of trust. Relationships deepen not because they are exciting, but because they are reliable. In Monaco, reliability is respected more than charisma. It signals that someone plans to stay, not pass through. Yet, familiarity alone is not enough. Repetition without understanding can quickly turn into irrelevance. The key lies in knowing where to remain consistent and where to stay invisible. The elite understand that some spaces reward presence while others punish it. They learn when to be seen just enough, and when to blend back into the background. And that balance raises an intriguing question. If familiarity helps secure belonging, how do insiders decide which spaces reinforce their position and which ones quietly weaken it? Most people believe that money creates equality at the top. In Monaco, that illusion fades quickly. Here, hierarchy isn't defined by how much you have, but by where you are. Two people can possess similar wealth, yet occupy entirely different positions, simply because of location. In Monaco, space is layered. Streets, buildings, terraces, and even views operate like an unspoken map of status. Being a few meters higher, slightly closer, or subtly more secluded can change how someone is perceived. These differences are rarely explained, but they are instantly recognized by those who understand the system. The environment itself becomes a quiet classifier. What makes this hierarchy powerful is its subtlety. There are no signs, no labels, no announcements. Access is filtered through proximity. Certain areas naturally invite conversation, while others discourage it without a word being spoken. Standing in the wrong place can make someone feel exposed. Standing in the right one allows them to remain untouchable. Over time, these spatial cues train behavior. People adjust instinctively, often without realizing why. This is why long-term residents pay close attention to positioning, not to show dominance, but to avoid friction. Being correctly placed means interactions happen smoothly, if they happen at all. It minimizes interruptions and limits unnecessary engagement. In Monaco, the ability to control your surroundings often matters more than controlling attention. What outsiders rarely notice is that these spatial layers are not fixed by wealth alone. They are shaped by familiarity, timing, and social alignment. Some locations open gradually over years, others close just as quietly. Movement within this system is possible, but never rushed. Advancement comes through alignment, not assertion, and this leads to a deeper curiosity. If space itself defines hierarchy in Monaco, who quietly decides which positions are available and which remain permanently out of reach? In most places, influence is measured by how often you appear. In Monaco, it works the other way around. Presence here is not about frequency, but precision. Being seen too much can weaken a position, while appearing at exactly the right moment can strengthen it instantly. Among Monaco's elite, absence is often intentional. They don't attend everything, and they rarely arrive early. Their presence is reserved for moments that already carry weight. This creates a subtle imbalance. When someone who is rarely seen suddenly appears, attention shifts without effort. No announcement is needed. The timing alone delivers the message. What makes this strategy effective is how it reshapes expectations. People stop asking where someone is and start noticing when they're there. Conversations change tone. Decisions slow down. The environment adjusts to accommodate a presence that feels deliberate rather than habitual. Over time, this control of timing becomes a form of influence more powerful than constant visibility. This approach also protects privacy. Limited appearances reduce exposure, speculation, and unwanted access. By choosing when to be present, Monaco's most established figures maintain a sense of distance without creating hostility. They remain approachable in theory, but unreachable in practice. That balance is difficult to achieve, yet deeply respected within elite circles. What outsiders often misunderstand is that this is not about mystery or performance. It's about efficiency. Time and attention are treated as scarce resources, not commodities to be spent freely. When presence is rare, it carries meaning. When it's constant, it becomes background noise. And this raises an important question moving forward. If influence can be built by carefully controlling presence, what happens behind the scenes to ensure that absence never turns into loss of relevance? Many assume that power in Monaco is built in public, at glamorous events, exclusive parties, or high-profile gatherings. But the relationships that matter most are rarely visible. The strongest connections in Monaco are the ones that are never photographed, never tagged, and never discussed. Among the elite, trust is not formed through introductions or social visibility. It develops quietly over time in controlled environments where discretion is the default. These relationships are often long-standing, built through repeated interactions away from attention. The absence of documentation is intentional. What isn't recorded can't be misinterpreted, replicated, or exposed. This is why some of the most influential conversations in Monaco happen in ordinary-looking settings, at unremarkable times, with no audience. There are no grand gestures and no public confirmations. Agreement is communicated through consistency rather than contracts, and loyalty is tested through patience rather than pressure. Over time, these invisible networks become far more reliable than any public alliance. What makes these relationships powerful is not secrecy for its own sake, but insulation. They are protected from trends, public opinion, and external influence. While public attention shifts quickly, these connections remain stable. They don't need to be reinforced because they aren't performative. Their value lies in endurance, not visibility. Outsiders often misjudge this silence as exclusion or coldness. In reality, it's a filtering mechanism. Not everyone is meant to be included, and not every connection is meant to grow. Monaco's elite understand that selective access preserves balance. Too many connections create noise, too few create isolation. The right number creates control, and that leads to an unsettling curiosity. If the most important relationships in Monaco are intentionally invisible, how does someone even realize they're being quietly kept outside of them? In many wealthy cities, status is constantly tested through comparison. Bigger, newer, louder often becomes the unspoken competition. Monaco operates differently. Here, true insiders avoid public comparison altogether because competing openly is seen as a sign of insecurity, not strength. Rather than trying to outshine one another, Monaco's elites separate themselves into distinct spheres, different routines, different spaces, different rhythms. This quiet separation reduces friction and eliminates the need to prove anything. When people don't share the same arena, there's no scoreboard to watch. Each group operates within its own boundaries, rarely crossing into another's domain. This is why overt displays of rivalry are uncommon at the highest level. Public competition invites judgment, and judgment creates instability. Those who have secured their position prefer environments where outcomes are predictable and egos remain undisturbed. By avoiding shared stages, they protect both their privacy and their standing. What's interesting is how subtle this separation can be. It's not enforced by rules or restrictions, but by mutual understanding. Everyone knows where they fit and where they don't. Attempting to enter the wrong space doesn't lead to confrontation. It simply leads to discomfort. Invitations stop. Access narrows. The system corrects itself quietly. To outsiders, this can feel confusing. There's no visible rejection, no dramatic moment, just a gradual sense of distance. That's intentional. Efficiency replaces conflict. Silence replaces explanation. The hierarchy remains intact without drawing attention to itself. But this system depends on one critical factor: awareness. Those who understand the boundaries move effortlessly within them. Those who don't often break the unspoken rules without realizing it. And that opens an important question. What happens when someone ignores these invisible divisions and tries to play on every stage at once? Every place has its own pace, but in Monaco, timing is everything. The city moves to a rhythm that isn't written down, yet everyone who belongs seems to feel it. Those who fall out of sync are noticed immediately, even if no one says a word. Among the elite, understanding timing goes far beyond punctuality. It's about knowing when to arrive, how long to stay, and when to disappear. Appearing too early suggests anticipation. Staying too long suggests dependence. Leaving at the right moment signals confidence and control. These nuances shape perception more than any visible display ever could. Seasons matter. Certain months invite visibility, while others favor discretion. Some moments are meant for quiet observation, others for brief acknowledgement. The most experienced insiders move with these cycles effortlessly, adjusting without explanation. To them, Monaco feels predictable. To newcomers, it often feels strangely unforgiving. What makes this rhythm powerful is how it enforces discipline without enforcement. There are no reminders, no warnings. People either adapt or slowly lose access. Miss the tempo often enough, and invitations stop arriving. Doors don't close loudly, they simply stop opening. Over time, the system filters itself. Outsiders often interpret this as exclusivity or coldness. In reality, it's coordination. A shared understanding of when things happen keeps the environment calm and controlled. When everyone moves in sync, there's no need for correction. Yet, timing alone doesn't explain everything. Some individuals seem to set the rhythm rather than follow it. Their movements subtly influence when others appear, adjust, or wait. And that leads to a final curiosity before we move on. Who actually determines Monaco's rhythm? And how do a select few manage to shape it without ever being seen doing so? At the highest level of Monaco's social hierarchy, something unexpected happens. Power begins to look ordinary. The people with the greatest influence rarely stand out. They don't draw attention, explain themselves, or signal importance. Instead, they blend in so completely that most observers overlook them entirely. This quiet appearance is not accidental. It's a form of camouflage. When someone looks unremarkable, they attract less curiosity and fewer questions. Expectations remain low, interactions stay controlled, and pressure disappears. In an environment where attention can distort relationships, appearing normal becomes a strategic advantage. What's striking is how consistent this behavior is. The most established figures don't shift their image to match trends or moments. Their appearance remains steady, predictable, almost forgettable. Over time, this consistency creates a powerful effect. They become part of the background. And once someone fades into the background, they gain freedom. They can observe without being observed, decide without being challenged, and move without resistance. Outsiders often misinterpret this simplicity as a lack of ambition or influence. But within Monaco's elite circles, it signals the opposite. When someone no longer needs to differentiate themselves, it suggests their position is already secure. There is nothing left to prove and no reason to compete for attention. This is where the Monaco luxury lifestyle reaches its most subtle expression. Luxury stops being about visibility and becomes about control. Not control through dominance, but through normalization. When presence feels expected rather than impressive, it becomes untouchable. And as this realization settles in, one question quietly lingers. If true power in Monaco hides behind normality, how many of the most influential people pass by unnoticed every single day? Monaco is often described as a symbol of luxury, but as we've seen, its true power lies far beneath the surface. This is not a place where influence is built through noise or constant visibility. It's built through stability, familiarity, positioning, timing, and restraint. What looks simple from the outside is actually the result of long-term discipline and quiet understanding. The Monaco luxury lifestyle isn't about showing how much you have. It's about knowing when not to show anything at all. Those who last here don't chase attention. They shape the environment so that attention becomes unnecessary. Over time, their presence feels natural, almost inevitable. And that's when power becomes most effective, when it no longer needs to announce itself. For most people, Monaco will always appear as a glamorous destination filled with beautiful views and expensive objects. But for those who know how to look closer, it's a living system, one that rewards patience, awareness, and subtlety far more than spectacle. The real hierarchy isn't displayed, it's felt. So the next time you see someone walk calmly through Monaco without attracting a single glance, pause for a moment. The absence of attention might be the most revealing signal of all. If this deeper perspective on the Monaco luxury lifestyle resonated with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Inside the Billionaires. There's much more beneath the surface, and this is only the beginning. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.